Hey everyone, it's January 25th, and that means that if today's your birthday, you share with Colombian serial killer Luis Alfredo Garavito, known as both the Beast and Tribelin, which is Spanish for Goofy, due to his resemblance to the Disney character who murdered well over 100 children in the 1990s, and that is him right up there. Garavito was born in 1957, the oldest of 7 children in his immediate family. His father was sexually abusive towards his children, and he was also molested by other adults in the neighborhood. He dropped out of school after just 5 years of formal education and left home at the age of 16. To make ends meet, he worked in stores and as a street vendor selling religious accessories. After developing an alcohol problem, he moved from town to town after wearing out his welcome due to his aggressive drunken behavior. He attempted suicide at least once and sought psychological counseling in 1980. Colombia was a rough place to be in the 80s and 90s, being in the throes of the Civil War that began in 1964 and left over 1 million Colombians homeless, with tens of thousands of them children whose parents were killed in the war. That conflict continues even today. Beginning in 1992, Garavito began raping and murdering homeless boys as he bounced around Colombia and Ecuador, killing at least 138 boys between the ages of 6 and 16 during a 7-year spree. Some estimates put the total number as high as 400 victims, making him one of the most prolific serial killers the world has ever known. He would disguise himself as a farmer, street vendor, priest, or old man and approach a boy on the street. After offering them money or candy or a job for older kids, he'd walk with them for a while to tire them out, making them easier to overpower. The lucky ones were just molested. The unlucky were tied to a tree and tortured by Garavito, who would bite and rape them and sometimes cut off their genitals before stabbing them to death. He decapitated many of his victims before burying their bodies in shallow graves. Because he traveled across the country, it took a while for police to realize the killings were being done by the same man. It wasn't until a mass grave was found in 1997 that they launched a task force focused on the case. When 3 victims were found together in 1998, they caught a break because Garavito had dropped a sheet of paper with an address on it, which turned out to be where a woman he was involved with lived. When going through his things, they found photos of young boys and a journal with details of dozens of murders. He was finally apprehended in April of 1999 and confessed to 147 murders, drawing maps for police to find their gravesites. He was convicted of 138 and sentenced to 1,853 years in prison, but Colombian law says that no one can be held captive for more than 40 years. Because he confessed and assisted in finding the bodies of his victims, his sentence was reduced to 22 years, and he has applied to be released. He currently is still in solitary confinement for fear that he would be killed by other prisoners immediately. A hearing was held in 2021 to determine his fate, with the only legal basis for keeping him behind bars being that he never paid the fine of $41,500 imposed when he was convicted. Let's hope he never gets that money, but he is up for parole this year, so we'll see what happens with that process. If this is your birthday, hope you have a great day. Leave me a comment so I can wish you a happy birthday. If you know someone whose birthday it is today, send in this video so they can find out all about their birthday twin. And to Luis Alfredo Garavito, I say, happy birthday, you bastard.